This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
Okay, we're going to have a little fun here tonight. I do predictions for pay-per-views, for big events, big television specials, even the Hall of Fame for the WWE. But I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. I'm going to attempt to predict what's going to happen on WWE Raw, the Raw after WWE SummerSlam, the first ever two-night SummerSlam. Typically, there are always exceptions to this rule, but usually you will see the WWE knock it out of the park on the Raw following WrestleMania and the Raw following SummerSlam. This typically should be no different. Now, I would expect that we see Penta. We have not seen Penta in a while. To me, it feels like he's been doing the WWE Tour of Mexico, possibly doing promotion out that way. He worked the Super Show, had a great entrance. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. It's an amazing entrance. He's been left off the SummerSlam card, so I would expect to see him. LA Knight, yeah, he is also absent from the SummerSlam card. Very interesting that he's absent from the SummerSlam card, given the win that he had, albeit an unceremonious win over an injured Seth Rollins, who got injured during the match. And of course, there's a lot of controversy of whether or not he was actually injured. I have a video on that. If you'd like to see that, it's probably going to be in the description, as well as my SummerSlam predictions, full SummerSlam predictions. It is a full podcast edition of my predictions because I go over night 1 and night 2 with an extensive look into what I think is going to happen on each and every single match that is going on this Sunday? This Saturday and Sunday, because it's a two-night event. No durr. All right, let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to predict the matches. I could, but you'd be here all day. I'm just going to go over some of the bigger moments that I feel is going to happen based on my predictions for SummerSlam. So if I'm completely wrong, then I'm going to be completely wrong about this. But this is the fun part. This is what I love to do. I'm very much a fantasy booking type of a guy here. So this is my chance to really get my rocks off. You know what I'm saying? Delving forward. So, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, they're going to be on a warpath. If you've been paying attention to my predictions thread, or if you watched my predictions video for SummerSlam, then you know that I have touted Roman Reigns and Jey Uso to win against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. This typically based on what I saw on Monday with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed going gangster all over Roman Reigns, stealing his shoes. I was looking for cable wire like above the ring, like usually what they use for the ladder match to hold the title belt up. I was thinking they were going to have that, and they were going to string the shoes tied together through their laces over the wire. And if you know, that's some full-on gangster shit. So I thought we were going to see that, given the fact that they basically rendered Roman Reigns and Jey Uso useless, and considering that Roman Reigns lost at the last PLE that he was a part of, which was WrestleMania, where he lost to Seth Rollins. I am going with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso to win at SummerSlam. This will then put Roman Reigns in a position to be written off TV so that he can go and film Street Fighter, where he will play Akuma. So I am going with Braun Breaker going medieval on Roman Reigns. He is going to probably spear him out of his boots. This is going to be the rise of the dog-faced gremlin, the new dog-faced gremlin. Like, he should have a dog collar with a chain on after the kind of beat down, because he wants to be known as the top dog. Now, if you notice, there was a subtle hint to this on Raw, where he said, "This is my house." Going back a few weeks prior to that, Paul Heyman also noted that he is the new big dog. So because of these little subtle references to this, and considering that Rick Steiner is Braun Breaker's father, the original dog-faced gremlin, it is only right for him to start being called the dog-faced gremlin, or at least some kind of iteration thereof. He doesn't have to be known as the dog-faced gremlin, but some kind of clever, maybe something there with a B, the beast-faced gremlin, or I don't know, something clever like that the WWE brass can come up with to mark and brand Braun Breaker as not only the top dog, but one of the gremlins, a beast, right? So like I look at Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker as two-headed monsters. You know, they're one and the same, they're collective. But I did think that was interesting. Maybe I'm reading too much into this and maybe it's insignificant, but if you noticed, Braun Breaker was definitely saying this was his house, but when they cut to Bronson Reed was saying this is our house. Could have been a mistake, could have been, you know, miscommunication, or it could have been a subtle hint. Now, we're already noticing dissension between Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. Braun Breaker interrupts Seth Rollins. He's not worried about him being absent. He's still looking to be the new leader. And funny enough, Paul Heyman doesn't even seem worried. Now, if you noticed when Solo was trying to take over the bloodline and Roman Reigns was absent, Paul Heyman grew a 5 o'clock shadow. He was all distraught and nervous. He kept trying to call Roman Reigns. Doesn't look like we're seeing that with Paul Heyman. However, there is that rumor, and I do have to mention that rumor, that Seth Rollins isn't actually injured and that he is going to play a part in either the conclusion or the post-match after CM Punk wrestles Gunther. And a lot of people are favoring CM Punk to win in this scenario. There is also another scenario to look at, and that is to look at Gunther being the new legend killer. You noticed he beat Goldberg. Before that, he beat Randy Orton. If he beats CM Punk, and then the rumor and innuendo is that he can potentially be the final opponent for John Cena. This can continue his reign of destroying and defeating and retiring legends. So that is also something to pay attention to. Gunther and CM Punk, regardless of the outcome, promises to be one of the matches of the night on the two-night spectacular of SummerSlam. So I've got Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed going scorched earth on Raw. I also assume that we're going to see LA Knight and Penta. I also believe that we're going to see more of Karrion Kross. I think that even if he loses, win or lose, we are going to see a larger role for Karrion Kross. I think just the breaking of the fourth wall where he looks at the camera and he smiles is a very telling situation. I think there's been a lot of questions of whether or not he is going to actually re-sign with the WWE or if he's going to go elsewhere. I think that is being done intentionally. The way that his merchandise sales have been through the roof, the way that he has got a groundswell of support from fans over the internet, and even in the arena, if you can hear it, the "We Want Kross" chants get louder and louder every week. I have no doubt that Karrion Kross will be a part of the WWE going forward. It just matters. It just is it's a point to make whether or not this is going to be him staying with Raw or going to SmackDown. Now, what I envision is Sami Zayn winning, but potentially doing it nefariously, thus causing Karrion Kross to bask in the fact that he was right and potentially do something that writes him off of Raw and moves him to SmackDown. I think there are far more match potentials for him on SmackDown where Kross can battle with Aleister Black, Ron Killings. He can battle with Damian Priest. He can battle with Randy Orton, which I would be really excited to see. I think that would be good for Karrion Kross because, you know, he definitely, once he left with the AOP and Paul Ellering, there really was a reset. There was kind of a reset. There have been subtle hints to previous incarnations of Karrion Kross, specifically those from NXT. Now, if you remember, he is currently telling Sami Zayn, say that I was right. Now, if you go back to NXT, there was a promo between William Regal, who was the general manager of NXT at the time when Karrion Kross was on top. Karrion Kross cut a promo and told William Regal to say the same thing. So Karrion Kross has been doing his homework. Apparently he has been in conjunction with the WWE creative, and they've been doing their homework, and they are definitely going back and throwing Easter eggs in that there is a continuation of this story for Karrion Kross. Now, I would love to see them bring the Hourglass back. I would love to see Karrion Kross get a refresher on SmackDown, where I personally believe that he can get more television time. But it's also possible that he can stay on Raw. But I would keep your eyes on Karrion Kross on Raw. I think you're going to see a big switch and more momentum in his favor, and that will in turn get more television time for him. I would also expect to see a SmackDown tag team get moved over to Raw. So at the same time Karrion Kross is going over to SmackDown, I predict that we may see one of the teams that loses in the big 6-team TLC match for the SmackDown tag team titles going over to Raw. Now, we've already seen Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, and Alba Fire, known as the Secret Hervis, get involved on Raw a lot. Now, at first I thought it was just one of those Forbidden Door things, or the portal opens and Chelsea Green goes over to Raw, but it looks like she's been having a lot more opportunities on Raw. Now, that's kind of weird considering that the SmackDown women's division hasn't been the most stacked. I feel very confident in saying that the Raw women's division is really outnumbering the women's division on SmackDown, very much the same as the SmackDown tag division is definitely trumping the Raw tag division. So a move to Raw for one of those 6 tag teams that are going to be a part of that TLC, I think would help bolster that tag team division immensely. I would also expect to see Austin Theory make a return and get involved with Grayson Waller as well. So those are some of the things that I am predicting for Raw. Like I said, not a whole lot to delve into there. There is also a lot of rumor of whether or not The Rock is going to show up at SummerSlam. I personally am not going to hold my breath on that. I really don't see that potentially happening. If it does happen, however, you can bet you're going to see The Rock on Raw as well. John Cena, is he going to turn face? Is he going to have a come to Jesus moment? Is he going to realize that everything he's been doing is really not a part of who he is? I watched some video, and I want to say, man, I can't remember who it was. I watched so much wrestling podcast, it's sickening, but I listened to it mostly. But somebody was talking about, it might have been JD from NY206, I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that, but somebody was saying that if John Cena continues, it actually might have been Sancho, sorry, it might have been Sancho from Santi's app. Yeah, maybe it was, where they were saying that it would be nice to see John Cena go full into what Bray Wyatt had hinted that he should do during their cinematic match that they had. And I thought that was an interesting point to make, because I totally forgot about Bray Wyatt telling John Cena to embrace his darker side so that he can be bigger than ever before. But I do feel personally, as far as the trajectory of John Cena and the fact that this heel turn pretty much came at the last minute because they didn't want to go with Cody Rhodes as a heel, that I can see John Cena really realizing that in order to go out the way that he should, he needs to be himself. And that this whole heel turn was more just anger, and psychologically you can break it down as him just apologizing for everything that he did and really making amends and spending the rest of the next 4 or 5 months and before he retires and really just saying, you know what, I'm going to make things right. And so by doing that, then he can go out and wrestle Gunther and have a full retirement ceremony. It would be emotional. The fans will be behind him. I mean, their fans are already behind him. They're having so much trouble actually booing John Cena that it'll only take just one promo and then maybe like a handshake from Cody Rhodes, or Cody Rhodes saving him, or John Cena saving Cody Rhodes, to really get John Cena back into the fans' good graces, and then get him going towards retirement in a way that is more what we would have expected. And you don't need a lot of time in order to do that, and you probably only need 3 or 4 big matches with John Cena to really push that home. So that's kind of what I'm seeing is going to happen on Raw. I would love to know what you guys think is going to happen on Raw. Let me know your predictions about what's going to happen on the Raw after SummerSlam down below in the comments. Guys, hit a thumbs up. That's totally free. I'm not going to charge you anything for that, and it's a really nice thing to do. We all do nice things. And hey, I might even throw a little snack at you. It'll be a virtual snack, or I'll do a video and I'll have the snack in my hand and I'll throw it at the camera, and you can pretend to catch it and then you can eat it. That'd be fun, right? All right, you guys, this has been the Wrestling Old Head here in the Portal of Pro Wrestling. Let me know your comments below. And as always, stay tuned for more.